In the bowels of the decrepit Penrose Correctional Facility, 4 inmates found themselves entwined in a sinister web of terror. The prison walls whispered secrets of the deranged and murderous correctional officer known as Officer Ramsey. He had a twisted obsession with power, preying upon those he deemed weak and vulnerable. Separated from their friends and families, the inmates, Jackson, Marcus, Sarah, and Elena, were cast into a bleak and foreboding existence. The world outside disregarded their pleas, dismissing them as madmen who deserved their suffering. Locked within their cells, the inmates felt a palpable sense of unease, a primal fear that gnawed at their souls. Officer Ramsey reveled in their torment, lurking like a shadow, always watching, his eyes burning with sadistic delight. As the days turned into an agonizing blur, the inmates devised a plan to escape the clutches of their demented captor. They knew they couldn't rely on the outside world for help, so they embraced their own resourcefulness. Using smuggled tools and their wits, the inmates chiseled away at the walls of their confinement, inch by painstaking inch. Slowly, a tunnel took shape, leading them closer to freedom. But Officer Ramsey, ever vigilant, sensed their rebellion. He grew increasingly unhinged, taunting them with cryptic messages scrawled on the walls. He reveled in their fear, relishing the power he held over their lives. The inmates' pleas for support went unanswered, the world refusing to acknowledge their plight. As the tunnel neared completion, tensions ran high among the inmates. Paranoia and suspicion infected their thoughts, each wondering if betrayal lurked among them. But their shared desperation forged an unbreakable bond, pushing them forward despite their fears. The night of the escape arrived, shrouded in darkness and uncertainty. The inmates crawled through the narrow passage, their hearts pounding in their chests. They emerged into the labyrinthine corridors of the prison, their senses on high alert. Officer Ramsey, aware of their intentions, hunted them like a predator stalking its prey. The inmates moved silently, their eyes darting from shadow to shadow. They searched for any means of defense, their desperation driving them to find weapons to protect themselves. Locked doors and barred windows stood as barriers, mocking their efforts. The world beyond seemed impenetrable, a cruel joke played by fate. But with each obstacle they faced, the inmates grew more resolute, fueled by the burning fire of survival. Finally, they found a storage room, a treasure trove of forgotten tools. Makeshift weapons were fashioned, crude yet potent. They armed themselves with shards of metal, pipes, and anything that could be wielded against their sadistic captor. The inmates ventured deeper into the labyrinth, guided by the faint glimmers of moonlight that filtered through cracked windows. Fear clung to them like a second skin, but determination propelled them forward. At last, they cornered Officer Ramsey in a dimly lit hallway. Their eyes met, a chilling recognition passing between predator and prey. The air grew heavy with anticipation, the inmates ready to fight for their lives. A fierce battle ensued, the echoes of their struggle reverberating through the prison's desolate corridors. Each swing of a weapon was met with a desperate parry, a dance of life and death. The inmates fought as a united force, their collective strength overpowering the deranged correctional officer. In a final act of desperation, Officer Ramsey lunged at Jackson with a knife, but Marcus intercepted the attack, taking the blade in his stead. The inmates fought on, their resolve unyielding, until Officer Ramsey lay defeated on the cold, unforgiving floor. Exhausted and battered, the inmates surveyed the aftermath of their harrowing ordeal. They had survived the clutches of a sadistic monster, defying the odds stacked against them. Their cries for help had gone unanswered, but they had forged their own path to freedom. As they emerged from the prison's crumbling walls, the world awaited them, oblivious to the horrors they had endured. They carried scars, both visible and hidden, but their spirits were unbroken. In their eyes burned a fierce determination to reclaim their lives and expose the dark secrets of Penrose Correctional Facility. And so, the 4 inmates embarked on a new journey, forever changed by their shared nightmare. They would never forget the deranged correctional officer who had tormented them, nor the world that had turned a blind eye. Their voices would be heard, their stories told, and justice sought for those left behind in the prison's depths.